Night in the village of Alderwin was the kind that seemed to breathe. Not wind, no, there was none of that, but a soft, living hush that wrapped itself around rooftops and chimneys, slipping through shutters and curling beneath doors. Even the crickets sang more quietly, as if something ancient listened from beyond the hills. And in the small wooden house at the edge of the village, a boy named Elric could not sleep. He lay on a straw-stuffed mattress, staring at the beams above him. The faint glow of a dying ember in the hearth painted slow-moving shadows across the ceiling. They stretched, shrank, and twisted like silent storytellers. Elric had always loved stories, but tonight his mind would not settle into one. Instead, it wandered to the forest. The old forest beyond Alderwin was forbidden after dusk, not by law, but by something older, something spoken in low voices and finished with a glance over the shoulder. "They say the trees remember," the elders would mutter. "They say not everything that sleeps there is truly asleep." Elric turned onto his side, pulling his thin blanket closer. He told himself to ignore the pull, to sleep, to dream of simpler things. But then, a flicker, not inside the house, outside. His eyes narrowed. Through the narrow slit of the shutter, he saw it again, a faint, golden shimmer in the distance, deep within the forest. It was not lightning. It was not fire. It was steady, calling. Elric sat up slowly, heart thudding, not in fear, but in curiosity, the kind that made trouble feel like an adventure waiting to happen. He hesitated only a moment, then he stood. The wooden floor creaked beneath his feet as he moved quietly, careful not to wake his mother in the next room. He pulled on his boots, grabbed his worn cloak, and slipped outside into the night. The air was cool, carrying the scent of damp earth and distant moss. Above him, the sky stretched wide and endless, scattered with stars that seemed unusually bright, as if they too were watching. Elric glanced once back at the house, then he turned toward the forest. The path was familiar at first, soft dirt beneath his boots, low shrubs brushing against his legs, the quiet comfort of knowing exactly where he was. But that changed. Step by step, the trees grew taller, thicker, their branches wove together overhead, swallowing the starlight. The air grew still, too still. Even the crickets had stopped. Elric swallowed, slowing his pace. "This is foolish," he whispered to himself, but the golden light flickered again, deeper ahead, closer now, and something inside him refused to turn back. He pushed through a curtain of low-hanging branches and stepped into a small clearing. The light was there, at the center, soft, golden, pulsing gently, like a heartbeat, and beneath it, half buried in the earth, was a lamp, not an ordinary one. It was old, older than anything Elric had ever seen. Its metal surface was dark with age, etched with patterns so intricate they seemed to shift when he tried to focus on them. A golden light aimed from within it. Elric approached slowly. Every instinct told him this was wrong, that he should leave it untouched. But curiosity is a quiet kind of hunger, and it had taken hold. He knelt beside the lamp, brushing away the dirt with trembling fingers. The metal felt warm beneath his touch, unnaturally warm, like it had been waiting. "For how long?" he whispered. The forest did not answer. The lamp seemed heavier than it should have been. As he lifted it free, the light dimmed slightly, then steadied, as if aware of his presence. Elric turned it in his hands, and then, without thinking, he rubbed it, once, twice. At first, nothing happened. The clearing remained silent. Still, Elric let out a small breath, almost laughing at himself. Just an old, the lamp grew hot, too hot. He gasped, nearly dropping it, as a low hum began to rise, not from the forest, but from the lamp itself. The golden light flared, bright, blinding, and then smoke, thick, swirling smoke poured from the spout, rising into the air like a living thing. It twisted, coiled, expanded, filling the clearing with a presence that felt far too large for such a small space. Elric stumbled back, heart racing. The smoke began to take shape, a form, tall, possibly tall, shoulders broader than any man's, eyes glowing faintly like embers buried beneath ash. And when it spoke, the forest seemed to listen. After so many years, the voice rumbled, deep and ancient. A hand dares to wake me. Elric could not move, could not breathe. The figure leaned forward slightly, its gaze settling on him. "You are not a king," it said slowly. "Not a sorcerer." A pause, then a faint, almost amused tone crept into its voice. "Just a boy." The golden light dimmed, leaving only the faint glow of those ancient eyes. "And yet, you hold my lamp." Elric's fingers tightened around the metal. The creature straightened, smoke curling around it like a cloak. "I am bound," it said, "as I have always been." A long silence followed. Then, quietly, "But tell me, child." The air grew heavier. The trees seemed to lean closer. "What is it you desire?" Elric opened his mouth, but no words came, because deep down he had the strange sinking feeling that whatever he said next would change everything. The forest held its breath. Even the leaves, which moments ago whispered softly in the night air, now hung still, as if the very world waited for the boy's answer. Elric swallowed. Leb felt heavier in his hands now, not just metal, but meaning, weight that pressed into his palms and into his thoughts. "What are you?" he finally managed to ask. The towering figure regarded him in silence for a moment. Then slowly it shifted. The smoke that formed its body curled inward, tightening, becoming less monstrous, more contained. Its edges softened, though it remained far from human. The glowing eyes dimmed slightly, like coals settling after flame. "You awaken me," it said, voice quieter now but no less ancient. "And yet you do not know what you have found." Elric shook his head. "I have heard stories," he said, "from travelers, from the old ones in the village, spirits trapped in objects, granting wishes." A faint ripple moved through the figure, something between a sigh and a low chuckle. "Stories," it echoed. "Yes, fragments of truth worn thin by time." The genie drifted closer, not walking, but gliding, as if the ground itself had no claim over it. "I'm what your stories remember poorly," it continued. "Bound to the lamp, bound to the one who holds it." Elric tightened his grip unconsciously. "And you grant wishes?" he asked, voice barely above a whisper. The genie tilted its head slightly. "Grant?" it repeated. "No." A pause. "I fulfill." The word hung in the air, heavier than it should have been. Elric frowned. "That is the same thing." The genie's eyes flickered. "No," it said softly. "It is not." A wind moved through the clearing then, sudden and cold, though the trees beyond did not stir. It circled them once, twice, like an unseen boundary being drawn. Elric felt it against his skin. "This is a place between moments," the genie said, "where choices echo louder than they should." Elric did not understand that, not fully, but he understood enough to feel uneasy. "I do not want anything," he said quickly. "I did not mean to. I just found the lamp. I was curious." "Curiosity," the genie murmured, "has always been the first door." It leaned closer again, studying him, not with hunger, but with something stranger, interest. You say you want nothing, it continued, but that is rarely true. Elric hesitated, because it was not entirely true. There were things he wanted, small things, a stronger roof for their house, enough food so his mother did not have to skip meals, a life where every day was not a quiet struggle. But saying those things out loud, here, to this, it felt dangerous. I do not trust you, Elric said instead. The genie's expression did not change. That is wise. Another pause. Yet you still hold the lamp. Elric glanced down at it. For the first time he considered dropping it, leaving it here, running back to the village. Pinchurting none of this had happened, but something in his chest tightened at the thought. Because if he left it, someone else might find it, someone who would make a wish, and somehow that felt worse. What happens? Elric asked slowly. If I make one? The genie straightened, its form stretching slightly taller again, as if the question itself gave it shape. What happens, it repeated, is that your desire becomes reality. That is it. A faint curl of smoke twisted where a smile might have been. That is never it, the genie said. Elric frowned deeper. What's the catch? The forest seemed to darken just a little. Every desire, the genie said, has a shadow. Elric did not like that answer. Explain. The genie's eyes glowed a little brighter again. If you wish for gold, it said, you will have gold. If you wish for power, you will have power. If you wish for love, it paused, you will have something that resembles it. Elric's grip tightened. That does not sound right. It is not about what sounds right, the genie replied. It is about what is. The air felt colder now, sharper. Elric took a small step back. So whatever I wish for, it comes with something bad. The genie tilted its head again. Not bad, it said, balanced. Elric shook his head. That is the same thing. No, the genie said softly. It is not. Silence stretched between them, long, heavy. Elric looked down at the lamp again. The golden glow inside it pulsed faintly, slower now, like a heartbeat waiting for a decision. I did not ask for this, he muttered. No one ever does, the genie replied. Another pause, then a quieter question. What would you have me do instead? Elric blinked. What? If you do not wish, the genie said, then what is it you expect of me? Elric opened his mouth and stopped because he did not know. The genie had always been part of stories, simple stories. You rub the lamp, you get wishes. But this felt different, real, complicated, dangerous. Can I put you back? Elric asked. The genie's form stilled. Back? It repeated. Into the lamp, Elric said. Like before I found you. For the first time something changed in the genie's presence. Not anger, not amusement, something deeper, something tired. I am always in the lamp, it said quietly. Elric frowned. Then why are you out here? Because, the genie replied. You called me. The words settled heavily between them. Elric looked down at his hands again, at the lamp, at the faint golden glow that refused to fade. So as long as I have this, he said slowly. You are with me? Yes. Elric's chest tightened. That is not what I wanted. No, the genie agreed. It rarely is. A distant sound echoed through the forest. Then, faint but unmistakable, a branch snapping. Elric's head snapped up. Did you hear that? The genie did not turn. I hear many things, it said. Another sound, closer this time. Not the soft step of an animal, something heavier, deliberate. Elric's heart began to race. We are not alone, he whispered. The genie's eyes flickered. No, it said, and for the first time since it had appeared, its voice carried a trace of something unfamiliar. Caution. The shadows between the trees shifted, slowly, like something stepping just out of sight, watching, waiting. Elric tightened his grip on the lamp. "What do I do?" he asked, panic creeping into his voice. The genie looked down at him, and for a brief moment, those ancient, glowing eyes seemed almost serious. "You could wish," it said. The sound came in, closer, heavier. Elric's breath caught. "I do not know what to wish for." The genie leaned in slightly, the golden light around them flickering once more. "Then choose quickly," it said, because whatever moved in the forest was no longer hiding, and whatever it was, it had heard everything. The forest did not feel like a forest anymore. It felt like something watching itself. Elric's breath came shallow, uneven. His fingers locked tight around the lamp, as if it were the only solid thing left in the world. The golden glow inside it pulsed faintly, but now it seemed less like a comfort and more like a signal, like something had seen it, like something was coming because of it. Another step echoed between the trees, slow, measured. Too heavy for a deer, too quiet for a man. Elric leaned closer to the genie without realizing it. "What is that?" he whispered. The genie did not answer immediately. Its gaze had shifted, fixed on the darkness beyond the clearing, where the shadows gathered thicker than they should. Its form seemed to stretch slightly, smoke curling tighter around itself, as if preparing. "That," it said at last, voice low, "is not meant for you." Elric's stomach dropped. "What does that mean?" "It means," the genie replied, "that your presence here has disturbed more than just me." A shape moved between the trees, not clearly, never fully, but enough. Something tall, unnaturally tall. Its outline bending slightly, as if the air around it did not agree with its existence. Elric took a step back. "I did not do anything." "You woke the lamp," the genie said. "And the lamp does not wake quietly." The shape paused at the edge of the clearing, still hidden, still watching. The air turned colder. Not the gentle chill of night, but a creeping, sinking cold that felt like it came from beneath the ground itself. Elric's teeth clenched. "Can it see us?" The genie's answer came without hesitation. "Yes." A branch cracked. The shape shifted again, closer now. Elric could feel it, not just hear it. A pressure in his chest, a weight behind his eyes, like standing too close to something that did not belong in the world. "What does it want?" he asked. The genie's eyes dimmed slightly. "The same thing all such things want," it said. "And what is that?" A pause. Then, "To take what is not theirs." Elric's grip on the lamp tightened until his knuckles turned pale. "You said I could wish," he said quickly. "Tell me what to wish for." The genie turned to him slowly. "No." Elric stared at it. "What do you mean, no?" "I will not choose for you," the genie said. "That is the only rule that remains unbroken." "Then help me." "I'm helping you," the genie replied, voice steady, "by not deciding what you become." Elric shook his head, panic rising fast now. "This is not about becoming anything. This is about surviving." The shape stepped forward, and for the first time, it entered the edge of the clearing. It was wrong. There was no other word for it. Its body seemed stretched, like a shadow pulled too thin. Its limbs were long, bending in places they should not. Its face, if it had one, was hidden in darkness, even in the faint golden light. But its eyes were there, not glowing, not shining, just empty. Empty in a way that made everything else feel too full. Elric froze. The thing did not rush, did not leap. It simply stood there, watching, waiting, like it had all the time in the world. "What is it?" Elric whispered, barely able to form the words. The genie's voice came softer now. "Something that listens when doors open." Elric swallowed hard. "Can it hurt me?" The genie did not answer immediately. And that silence was worse than anything it could have said. The thing took another step. The ground beneath it did not make a sound, not a crunch, not a shift. As if it did not quite touch the earth, Elric stumbled back again, his heel catching on a root. He nearly fell, barely catching himself. "Stay behind me," the genie said. For the first time, it moved with purpose. Its form expanded, smoke billowing outward, rising taller, broader, filling the space between Elric and the thing at the edge of the clearing. The golden glow flared again, brighter, stronger. The shadows pulled back slightly, but not enough, never enough. The thing stopped, tilting its head slowly, as if curious. "It knows you," Elric whispered. "Yes," the genie said. A pause, "and it knows what you hold." Elric's heart pounded louder. "So it wants the lamp?" "Yes." The word landed like a stone, cold, heavy, final. The thing took another step, closer, now fully in clearing. Its shape flickered slightly, like it was not fixed in one form. Long arms, then shorter, a hunched figure, then tall again. Always wrong, always shifting. Elric felt his breath catch. "What happens if it gets it?" The genie's voice lowered. "Then I will no longer belong to you." Elric blinked. "And then?" A longer pause this time. "Then they will not need to ask for wishes." The meaning of that settled slowly, too slowly, until it suddenly was not slow at all. Elric's eyes widened. "Oh." The thing took another step, closer still. The golden light flickered. For the first time, it dimmed. "Why is the light fading?" Elric asked, panic creeping back into his voice. The genie did not turn. "Because it is stronger here," it said. "Then stop it." "I am trying." The smoke around the genie tightened again, swirling faster now, forming patterns that almost looked like symbols, old, unreadable, shifting too quickly to grasp. The air hummed, low, unsteady. The thing paused again, just a few steps away now, watching, always watching. Elric's mind raced. "Think, think, think. You said I have to choose," he said quickly. "You said I have to make the wish." "Yes." "Then tell me this. Can I wish for it to go away?" The genie was silent for a moment. Then, "Yes." Hope flickered. "But," the genie added, "you must be precise." Elric clenched his jaw. "Precise how?" "Because," the genie said, voice tightening slightly, "if you are not, it may leave in a way you do not expect." Elric almost laughed. There was no humor in it. "Of course it will." The thing took another step, now so close that Elric could feel the cold pouring off it like a tide. His thoughts scrambled, words forming, breaking, reforming. "I wish." He stopped. The genie did not rush him, but the thing leaned forward slightly, as if listening, as if waiting. Elric's heart hounded in his ears. Too many possibilities, too many ways this could go wrong. "I wish it gone." He stopped again. No, that was not enough, not precise, not safe. The genie had said so. Think, think. The thing took one more step, and now it was close enough that the golden light touched it, and where the light touched, it did not reflect, it did not glow. It just disappeared, swallowed. Like the light had never been there at all. Elric's breath hitched. "Now," the genie said, sharper than before, choose. Elric closed his eyes, just for a second. And in that second, he made his choice. I wish. The forest seemed to lean in. The air held still. Even the thing stopped moving, waiting, listening, and Elric spoke. I wish. Elric's voice trembled, but he forced the words through, gripping the lamp as if it were the only thing anchoring him to the world. I wish that the thing before me is sent far away from this forest and cannot return to harm me or anyone from my village. The moment the last word left his lips, the forest broke. The golden light erupted, not like before, no soft glow, no gentle pulse. This was sudden, violent, blinding. The lamp burned in Elric's hands, heat surging through the metal, yet he could not let go. It was as if the wish itself held him there, bound to its completion. The genie's form expanded instantly, smoke spiraling upward like a storm unleashed, its shape no longer contained, no longer calm. You have spoken, it said, voice no longer quiet but echoing through the clearing, through the trees, through something deeper than sound itself, and so it shall be fulfilled. The thing reacted. For the first time, it moved with urgency. Its form twisted sharply, limbs stretching, folding inward, then outward again, as if searching for a way to escape something unseen. The emptiness where its eyes should have been turned toward Elric, not watching now, but resisting. The light struck it, not from above, not from the ground, but from everywhere. Golden threads of energy lanced through the air, weaving together, wrapping around the creature like chains made of sunlight itself. The thing recoiled. Its body flickered violently, shape collapsing and reforming in rapid, unnatural bursts. The silence shattered. A sound filled the clearing, not a scream, not a voice, but something in between, like a memory of sound, something that had once known how to cry out, but had forgotten how. Elric covered his ears, stumbling backward. What is happening? He shouted. The genie did not look at him. This is your wish, it said, taking form. The golden threads tightened, pulled, dragged. The creature resisted, its limbs stretching unnaturally long, grasping at the ground, at the trees, at the very air itself. For a moment, it seemed like it might hold, that it might not move, that the wish might not be enough. Elric's heart stopped. Why is not it working? It is working, the genie replied. A pause, but not without cost. The creature suddenly snapped backward, its form collapsing inward, as if pulled through a space too small to contain it. The golden light surged brighter, blinding, and then, gone. The clearing fell silent. No wind, no sound, no presence, just the soft, fading glow of the lamp in Elric's trembling hands. He stood there, breathing hard, eyes wide, staring at the place where the thing had been. It was empty now, completely empty. Even the air felt thinner, like something had been removed that the world itself did not fully understand. Is it gone? Elric asked. The genie's form began to settle, the swirling smoke slowing, drawing inward again into a more contained shape. It is no longer here, it said. That is not what I asked. A pause. No, the genie agreed. It is not. Elric lowered his hand slowly. What does that mean? He asked. The genie turned to him, its glowing eyes dimmer now, not weak, but quieter, as if something had been spent. You wished for it to be sent far away, it said, and for it not to return to harm you or your village. Elric nodded quickly. Yes, so it is gone. The genie tilted its head slightly. It is gone from here, it said. The words felt wrong, incomplete. Elric frowned. Where did it go? The genie did not answer immediately. And in that silence, Elric felt the first crack of unease. Where did it go? He repeated, more urgently this time. The genie's gaze drifted past him toward the forest beyond. Far, it said at last. How far? Far, far. Enough. That is not an answer. No, the genie said softly. It is not. Elric's grip tightened again. You said every wish has a balance, he said. Is this it? Did I do something wrong? The genie studied him for a long moment. Then, you did not do it wrong, it said. A pause. But you did not do it completely. Elric's chest tightened. I said it could not come back. I said it could not hurt anyone from my village. Yes. Then what is the problem? The genie's voice dropped slightly. You did not say where it must go, it said. The words hit harder than they should have. Elric blinked. I said far away, and so it is, the genie replied. But far is a direction, not a boundary. The meaning unfolded slowly, too slowly, until suddenly it was not slow at all. Elric's breath caught. You mean, the genie did not interrupt. You mean it could still be somewhere else? Yes. Elric's stomach twisted. And it can hurt other people? The genie's silence answered for him. The forest felt colder now, not because of the creature, but because of the absence it left behind. Elric looked down at the lamp. The golden glow had dimmed again, softer now, quieter, but still there, still alive, still waiting. I did not mean to, he whispered. No one ever does, the genie said. A long silence followed, a kind that settles deep, pressing into the bones. Elric's thoughts churned. He had done it. He had made a wish, and it had worked. But it did not feel like victory. It felt like something unfinished, something that had been pushed away rather than ended. How many wishes do I have? Elric asked quietly. The genie looked at him. As many as you choose to make, it said. Elric frowned. That is not how the stories go. The genie's expression did not change. The stories, it said, prefer simple endings. Elric let out a slow breath. His hands were still shaking, his heart still racing, but beneath it now, something else had begun to form. Not fear. Not exactly. Something sharper. Awareness. That thing, he said slowly. It came because of the lamp. It nodded. Yes. So there could be more? The genie did not answer immediately. Then, yes. Elric closed his eyes briefly. Of course there will be more. Nothing about this was simple. Nothing about this was safe. He opened his eyes again, looking down at the lamp, at the faint golden light that had already changed everything. I do not think I can just leave this here, he said. No, the genie agreed. You cannot. Elric looked up. Then what do I do with it? The genie's gaze held steady. That, it said, is your next choice. The forest remained still, but it no longer felt empty. It felt waiting, not for the thing that had been taken, but for what would come next. Elric tightened his grip on the lamp, and for the first time since he had found it, he understood something clearly. This was not a story he had stepped into. This was a story he had started, and there was no going back. The silence that followed the wish did not feel like peace. It felt like a pause, the kind that comes just before something else begins. Elric stood in the clearing, the lamp still warm in his hands, its golden glow softer now, but steady, persistent, as if it had no intention of ever fading again. The place where the creature had stood was empty, too empty. Even the ground seemed untouched, as if the forest itself refused to remember it had ever been there. I should go home, Elric said quietly. The words felt simple, too simple. The genie watched him, its form now calm again, drifting like a faint veil of smoke beside him. Yes, it said. But you will not. Elric frowned. I just said I would. You said you should, the genie corrected. Not that you will. Elric opened his mouth, then closed it again. Because something in that felt true. He looked down at the lamp, at the glow, at the quiet, waiting presence inside it. If I go back, he said slowly, this comes with me. Yes. And if this comes with me, he hesitated, then more things might come too. The genie did not speak. It did not need to. Elric exhaled. So I cannot just walk back like nothing happened. No, the genie said softly. You cannot. A distant breeze moved through the trees, stirring the leaves again, but now the sound felt different, less natural, more aware. Elric pulled his cloak tighter around himself. What happens if I leave the lamp here? He asked. The genie's eyes flickered faintly. Then someone else will find it. Elric nodded. I thought so. And they may not ask the same questions you did. Elric let out a small, humorless breath. They probably would not hesitate either. No, the genie agreed. They rarely do. The weight of that settled heavily. Elric shifted the lamp in his hands, as if testing it, feeling its balance. It felt wrong to hold. And yet, it felt worse to imagine letting it go. I do not want this, he said. The words came out sharper than he intended. The genie regarded him quietly. That does not change that you have it. Elric clenched his jaw. That is not fair. No, the genie said. It is not. He turned slowly, looking toward the path he had taken into the forest. It was still there, faint, barely visible, but familiar. Home lay beyond it, warmth, light. His mother, a life that, just an hour ago, had felt small, but now seemed impossibly distant. If I go back, Elric said, I could hide it. The genie said nothing. I could bury it, lock it away, never use it again. Still, no answer. Elric frowned. Why are not you saying anything? The genie's voice came after a moment. Because, it said, you already know the answer. Elric's chest tightened. Because he did. You said the lamp does not wait quietly, he said. Yes, and things are drawn to it. Yes. Elric looked back at the clearing, at the empty space where the creature had stood. Then hiding it will not stop anything, will it? No, the word was gentle, but absolute. A long silence stretched between them, the kind that does not ask for words, only acceptance. Elric's shoulders lowered slightly, not in defeat, but in understanding. So I cannot leave it, he said. No, I cannot hide it. No, and I probably should not bring it back to the village. The genie's eyes flickered faintly. That would be unwise. Elric let out a slow breath. Then what does that leave me with? The genie looked at him steadily. The path you have not yet considered. Elric frowned. What path is that? The genie drifted slightly, turning its gaze deeper into the forest, beyond the clearing, beyond the familiar, into the part of the woods no villager ever spoke of without lowering their voice. Forward, it said. Elric followed its gaze. His stomach tightened instantly. That is deeper into the forest. Yes, that is exactly where I should not go. Yes. Elric blinked. And you were suggesting I go anyway. The genie turned back to him. I am suggesting nothing, it said. I am showing you what remains. The trees beyond looked different, darker, older. The kind of place where even daylight might struggle to reach. Elric hesitated. Why would I go further in? The genie's voice lowered slightly. Because, it said, the lamp did not come from your village. Elric's brow furrowed. What does that have to do with anything? It means, the genie continued, There are places in this forest that know what this is. Elric's grip tightened, and those places might know how to, what? Get rid of it, a pause, or understand it. Elric let out a breath. That does not sound reassuring. It is not meant to be. The wind shifted again. This time it carried a faint sound, not close, not immediate, but distant, a low, almost inaudible hum, like something stirring far beyond sight. Elric froze. Did you hear that? The genie did not turn. Yes. Elric's pulse quickened. Another one? The genie's answer came slowly. Not the same. That did not make him feel better. He looked back toward the path home, then toward the deeper forest. 2 directions, neither safe, neither simple. One familiar, but dangerous. The other unknown, and possibly worse. Elric swallowed. If I go deeper, he said, there is no guarantee I will find anything helpful. Is there? No. And there is no guarantee I will come back. No. Elric let out a shaky breath. Great. The lamp pulsed faintly in his hands. Once, twice, like a quiet reminder, like a heartbeat that was not his own. Elric stared at it. This thing, he said slowly, it is not just a tool, is it? The genie's eyes dimmed slightly. No, it is something more. Yes. Elric's chest tightened. Something that should not be in the wrong hands. Yes. He nodded slowly. Then I cannot leave it. No. The answer was clear now. Uncomfortable. Unwanted. But clear. Elric lifted his head, looking once more towards a deeper forest, toward the place where the trees grew too close together, where the darkness seemed to breathe. Forward then, he said quietly. The genie watched him, said nothing. Elric adjusted his grip on the lamp, pulled his cloak tighter, and took his first step beyond the clearing. The moment he crossed that invisible line, the forest changed, not suddenly, not violently, but unmistakably. The air grew heavier, the ground softer, the sounds fewer, as if he had stepped into a place that existed just slightly apart from everything else. Elric did not look back, because he already knew. The path behind him would not feel the same anymore. Stay close, he whispered. The genie drifted beside him. I am always close, it said. Elric did not know if that was comforting or not. They moved deeper, step by step, into a part of the forest that did not welcome them, that did not stop them either, and far ahead, something waited. Not watching, not hunting, but aware. The story was moving forward now, and Elric was no longer just a boy who had found a lamp. He was the one carrying it. The forest closed in behind him, not in a way he could see, but in a way he could feel. Elric took another step forward, and something inside him quietly understood. If he turned back now, the path would not look the same. It might not even exist at all. He tightened his grip on the lamp. Its golden glow had changed again, no longer soft, no longer gentle. Now it pulsed faintly with each step he took, as if it were responding to something ahead, or perhaps something within him. Why does it feel like this? Elric whispered. The genie drifted beside him, its form thinner now, stretched like mist between trees. Because, it said, you are walking where the forest remembers more than it should. Elric frowned. That does not explain anything. It explains enough, the genie replied. The ground beneath his boots had softened into thick moss, damp and cool. It swallowed his footsteps, leaving no sound behind. Even the snapping of twigs had stopped. The deeper he went, the quieter it became. Not peaceful quiet, but the kind that presses against your ears. A kind that makes your own breathing feel too loud. How far does this go? Elric asked. As far as it needs to, the genie answered. Elric exhaled slowly. I am starting to think you enjoy giving answers that do not help. The genie's eyes flickered faintly. I give answers that remain true. That is not the same thing. No, the genie agreed. It is not. A faint mist began to gather around his feet. At first, Elric thought it was just the cold air, but it thickened with every step, curling around his boots, rising slowly like something alive. He stopped. Do you see this? He asked. Yes. Is it normal? No. Elric swallowed. Of course it is not. The mist crept higher. Not fast, not aggressive, but deliberate, like it knew exactly where it was going. Elric took another step forward, and the mist parted just enough to let him pass, then closed again behind him. His heart skipped. It is moving, he said. It is guiding, the genie corrected. Elric blinked. Guiding? Toward what? The genie did not answer. The trees here were different, older, their bark twisted in unnatural patterns, spiraling slowly upward, like frozen movement. Some trunks leaned slightly toward the path, as if listening or watching. Elric tried not to look too closely, but it was hard not to feel seen. The lamp pulsed again, stronger this time. A warm glow spreading briefly across his hands before fading back to its steady rhythm. Elric glanced down at it. It is reacting, he said. Yes. To what? The genie's voice lowered. To where you are going. Elric hesitated. Which means what, exactly? That you are close. The word settled heavily. Close to what? This time, the genie paused longer than before. Then, to a place that remembers the lamp before you did. Elric's breath slowed. That did not make sense, and yet it did, in a way that felt deeper than logic. Someone made this, he said quietly. Yes, someone powerful enough to bind something like you. The genie's eyes dimmed slightly. Yes, Elric looked ahead, and they might still be here. The silence that followed felt different. Not empty, but careful. No, the genie said at last. But what remains of them might be. Elric did not like that answer. Not at all. The mist thickened further, now reaching his knees. The air grew colder again, but beneath it there was something else, a faint warmth, like embers buried deep under ash. Elric frowned. Do you feel that? Yes. What is it? The genie's form shifted slightly. It is what lingers, it said. They walked in silence for a while after that, step by step, deeper and deeper, until the trees began to thin. Not suddenly, not completely, but enough that something beyond them became visible. A shape. Dark, still, unmoving. Elric slowed. Do you see that? Yes. The mist parted further ahead, revealing more of it. Stone. Old stone. Worn by time. A structure, half hidden by the forest, as if it had been swallowed slowly over the years. Elric's chest tightened. What is that? The genie's voice came softer now. Where the lamp once rested, it said. Elric stopped completely. His breath caught. You mean, this is where it came from? Yes. The answer sent a chill through him. The lamp pulsed again, brighter, warmer, almost eager. Elric looked down at it. It knows this place, he whispered. Yes, and it brought me here. The genie did not correct him. The structure became clearer as the mist shifted aside. Ruins, ancient, the remains of what might once have been a small temple, or something older than that. Broken pillars leaned at angles, cracked and worn. Stone steps led upward, half covered in moss, disappearing into a dark opening where a doorway had once stood. No light came from within. And yet, it did not feel empty. Elric's instincts screamed at him to stop, to turn around, to leave this place behind. But the lamp, The lamp grew warmer in his hands, pulling, calling. "I do not like this," he said. "No," the genie replied. "You would not." Elric let out a shaky breath. "If this is where it came from, then whatever made it was here, yes. And you said what remains might still be, yes." Elric looked at the dark entrance, at the broken stone, at the silence that felt deeper than anything he had known before. "Then maybe this is a mistake." The genie turned to him. For a moment, its expression seemed almost knowing. "Perhaps," it said. The lamp pulsed again, stronger than ever, the golden light spilling faintly between Elric's fingers, not bright enough to illuminate the ruins, but enough to show the path. Elric stood there, between two choices again. Step forward into something ancient, unknown, and waiting, or step back into a forest that had already begun to change. His grip tightened. "I did not come this far to stop now," he said quietly. The genie said nothing. Elric took a step forward, up onto the first broken stone. The moment his foot touched it, the lamp flared. A low sound echoed from within the ruins, not loud, not sudden, but unmistakable. Something inside had noticed him. Elric froze, his heart pounding once more. "What was that?" The genie's voice came very softly now. "Something that remembers," it said. The darkness within the ruins shifted, not visibly, not clearly, but enough that Elric felt it, watching, waiting, and then, from deep inside the broken structure, a faint glow answered the lamp, not golden, but something older, something colder. Elric's breath caught, because now he understood. This place had been waiting too. The glow from within the ruins did not flicker. It waited, cold, steady, patient. Elric stood on the broken step, the lamp warm in his hands, its golden light now brighter than before, almost as if it were answering the presence ahead. Two lights, two different kinds of memory. One in his hands, one inside the darkness. "Do not go in," Elric whispered. The words slipped out before he could stop them. The genie drifted beside him, silent. "I am serious," Elric added, almost to himself. "This feels wrong, worse than before." "Yes," the genie said quietly. "It is older than before." Elric swallowed. "That is not comforting." "It is not meant to be." The cold glow inside the ruins pulsed once, slow, measured, and something deep within Elric shifted in response, like a faint echo in his chest that was not entirely his own. He looked down at the lamp. It pulsed again, warmer, brighter. The two lights were speaking, not in words, but in something deeper, recognition. "It wants me to come in," Elric said. The genie did not deny it. "Yes." "Why?" The answer came after a pause. "Because you carry what it remembers." Elric exhaled slowly, that feeling again. Not curiosity this time. Not quite fear either. Something heavier. Like standing at the edge of a story you were never meant to hear. He took another step, then another. Each footfall on the ancient stone sent a faint, dull echo into the structure, as if the ruins were hollow. Listening, the mist did not follow him inside. It stopped at the threshold, as if it refused. The air changed the moment he crossed into the ruin. Colder, stiller, thicker. The outside world faded instantly. The forest, the wind, even the faint sounds of night, all gone, replaced by silence. Not empty silence, but the kind that feels full of something unseen. Elric paused just inside the entrance. A lamp's light spread gently around him, revealing fragments of what once had been. Walls etched with patterns, now worn and broken. Pillars cracked down the middle, leaning but unfallen. Floor of stone tiles, many missing, others shifted out of place, like pieces of a forgotten puzzle, and ahead, at the center of it all, a circular chamber, and in the center of that chamber, the source of the cold glow. Elric's breath slowed. "What is that?" he asked. The genie's voice lowered. A place of binding. The chamber floor was marked. Not randomly, not chaotically, but deliberately. Lines carved deep into the stone, forming a wide circular pattern, interwoven symbols, shapes that curved and intersected in ways that felt almost impossible to follow with the eye. At the center, a pedestal, stone, unbroken, untouched by time, and upon it, a ring of faint, cold light, hovering just above the surface. The glow pulsed once more. In response, the lamp in Elric's hands flared. He stepped closer, slowly, carefully, every instinct telling him to stop, but none strong enough to make him. "It was here," he whispered. The genie did not ask what he meant. "Yes," it said. "Elric." He hesitated, then shook his head. "No, I do not know why I said that." The genie's form shifted slightly. "You did not choose that name just now," it said. Elric froze. "What?" "You spoke it as if recalling," the genie continued, "not as if deciding." A cold ripple moved through Elric's chest. "That is my name." "Yes, I know my name." "Yes." Elric swallowed. "Then why did it feel like I was remembering it?" The genie did not answer. The glow in the center pulsed again. Stronger this time. Elric stepped into the chamber. The moment he crossed the carved line on the floor, the air shifted. A low hum filled the space, subtle but constant, like something waking just beneath the surface of the stone. The symbols began to faintly glow, not golden, not warm, but pale, cold, ancient. The lamp reacted instantly. Its light surged outward, brighter than ever before, casting long shadows against the broken walls. Elric gasped, nearly dropping it. "What is happening?" The genie's voice came sharper now. "This place recognizes the binding." The symbols on the floor lit up further, one by one, forming a complete circle of dim, shifting light around Elric. The pedestal at the center responded. The cold glow intensified, rising slightly higher above the stone, and then a voice, not spoken, not heard, but felt. "You have returned." Elric staggered. What was that?" The genie did not answer. Bearer of the vessel. The voice was not sound. It pressed directly into his thoughts, heavy and vast, like something too large to fit inside a single mind. Elric clutched his head. "I did not say anything." "You did not," the genie said. "It is not speaking to your ears." The glow in the center shifted, forming, not a shape, not a figure, but something like an outline, a presence without a body. "You carry what was sealed." Elric's breath came fast. "You don't understand." The presence pulsed again. "You stand where the binding was made." The symbols on the floor brightened. The lamp flared again in response. Elric felt the heat now, stronger than before, almost burning, but still he could not let go. "Make it stop," he said. "I cannot," the genie replied. The presence shifted slightly, as if observing, studying. "The vessel has changed hands." Elric shook his head. "I did not steal anything. I found it." A pause. "Long, heavy. All who hold it say the same." Elric's chest tautened. "That is not fair." The presence did not respond to that. Instead, the glow dimmed slightly, then steadied. "You do not yet understand what you carry." The words settled deep, too deep, like they belonged somewhere beneath thought. Elric lowered his hands slowly. "What's this place?" he asked, voice trembling. The genie answered this time. "This is where I was bound," it said. Elric looked at it. "By that thing?" The genie's form flickered. "Not a thing," it said. "A will." The presence pulsed once more. The binding was not meant to be broken. Elric's grip tightened around the lamp. "I did not break anything. You awakened it." The chamber seemed to close in slightly, not physically, but in feeling. "And now it awakens you." Elric's breath caught, a cold realization creeping in. "What does that mean?" he whispered. The glow flickered. The symbols dimmed slightly. The presence shifted. "It means a pause, longer than before, heavier than before. You are now part of the story it was meant to finish." The words settled, deep, unmoving, unavoidable. Elric stood frozen, the lamp pulsing in his hands, the chamber glowing faintly around him. The genie silent beside him, and for the first time since he had found the lamp, he understood something far more unsettling than danger. This was not just about wishes, not just about the forest, not just about the things drawn to the light. This had been waiting for someone for a very long time, and somehow, without knowing how, that someone had become him. The chamber held its breath. Not silence. No, this was something heavier than that. The kind of stillness that feels like it is watching itself, waiting for a single decision to tilt everything that comes after. Elric stood at the center of the circle, the lamp burning warm in his hands, the carved symbols around him dim but alive. A cold glow above the pedestal hovered steadily, its presence pressing gently but firmly against his thoughts. He could feel it now, not just hear it, not just see it, but feel it. Like a memory he had never lived. "You said I am part of this," Elric whispered, his voice echoing softly against the ancient stone. "What does that actually mean?" The genie remained beside him, its form quieter than before, as if this place reduced even its presence. "It means," it said slowly, "that the moment you chose to hold the lamp, you stepped into a chain that was already in motion." Elric frowned. "I did not choose that. I just picked it up." The genie's glowing eyes flickered. "That is how most choices begin." The cold light pulsed. "The vessel binds more than the one within." Elric flinched slightly. "Stop doing that," he said, pressing his fingers against his temple. "It feels like you are inside my head. I am where the binding touches. That does not make it better." The chamber did not react. It simply accepted his discomfort. Elric turned slightly, looking at the glowing lines beneath his feet. They were brighter now than when he had entered, tracing patterns that seemed to shift when he was not looking directly at them. "This place," he said. "You said it made the binding?" The genie nodded faintly. "Yes." "Then it can undo it, right?" The question lingered. For a moment, even the presence did not respond. Elric's heart lifted slightly. "Right?" he repeated. The glow flickered once, then steadied again. No, the word was simple, absolute. Elric's hope collapsed just as quickly as it had formed. "What do you mean?" "No," he asked, frustration creeping into his voice. "If this place made it, it should be able to unmake it." The genie turned toward him slightly. "It was not made to be undone," it said. "Why not?" "Because," the genie replied, "it was made to contain something that should not return." Elric looked down at the lamp again, at the steady golden glow. "You mean you?" The genie did not answer immediately. Then, yes, the chamber seemed to grow colder, not physically, but in meaning. Elric exhaled slowly. "So this is it then? I just carry it forever?" The genie did not speak, because the answer was already there, waiting. The cold light pulsed again. "The vessel changes." Elric's brow furrowed. What does that mean? It is not the lamp that binds. The words sank in slowly, too slowly, until they were not slow at all. Elric's eyes widened slightly. Then what does? A long pause. The kind that feels deliberate, measured, chosen. The bearer, the chamber fell deeper into silence. Even the faint hum beneath the stone seemed quiet, as if the place itself waited for the realization to settle. Elric shook his head. No, he said immediately. No, that does not make sense. The genie did not correct him. I am just holding it, Elric continued. That does not mean anything. I can drop it right now. He lifted the lamp slightly, as if to prove his point. But his hands did not loosen, not even a little. Why cannot I let go? He whispered. The genie's voice came softer now. Because the binding has already begun. Elric's breath caught. That is not possible. It is. I did not agree to anything. The genie's gaze held steady. You did not need to. The weight of that pressed harder than anything else had so far. Elric looked down at his hands again, at the lamp, at the light. And for the first time, he noticed something new, something subtle, but unmistakable. The glow was not just inside the lamp anymore. It was faintly reflecting along his fingers, tracing the lines of his skin, as if it had begun to settle there. No, he whispered. The vessel adapts. The presence pulsed again. The binding endures. Elric's chest tightened. So what? What happens to me? He asked, voice unsteady. The genie did not answer immediately. Then you become part of what keeps it sealed. The words echoed, long after they were spoken. Elric's thoughts raced. That means I cannot go home, he said. No answer. I cannot live a normal life. No answer. I cannot just be me. The genie looked at him, and this time its silence said everything. Elric laughed once, a short, hollow sound. That is it then, he said. I just walked into the forest, and now I am, what? A prison? The genie's voice was quiet. Yes. The word hit harder than anything else. Elric looked around the chamber. At the broken pillars, at the fading carvings, at the place where all of this had started long before he was even born. They left it here, he said. Yes. They walked away from it. Yes. And now I cannot. The genie did not speak. The cold glow pulsed again, slower now, more deliberate. The choice remains. Elric blinked. What choice? He asked. The presence shifted slightly. You may refuse. The words hung in the air, strange, unexpected. Elric's heart lifted slightly. I can? He asked quickly. A pause, longer this time, heavier. Yes. Hope flickered again, small, fragile. What happens if I do? Elric asked. The glow dimmed slightly, as if considering, then the binding will fail. Elric nodded quickly. Okay, that is good. That is what I want. The chamber did not react. The genie did not move. Elric frowned. That is good, right? The presence pulsed once more. No, the word came softer this time, but it carried more weight. Elric's stomach dropped. Why not? A long silence followed. The longest yet. Then, because what is bound will no longer remain so. The meaning struck instantly, brutally. Elric's breath caught. You mean you? He glanced at the genie. The presence did not respond. Instead, all of it. The chamber seemed to darken, the faint carvings dimming, a cold glow lowering slightly. Elric's voice dropped to a whisper. There is more than one. The genie's eyes flickered faintly. Yes, everything inside Elric stilled. The forest, the creature, the ruins, the lamp. None of it had been singular. You are not the only one bound, Elric said. The genie did not deny it. No. Elric closed his eyes for a moment. Just a moment, trying to steady his thoughts, trying to understand the weight of what had just been placed in his hands. If he accepted, he became part of the prison. If he refused, he broke it, and everything inside would be free. That is not a choice, he said quietly. The presence pulsed one final time. It is the only one that remains. Elric opened his eyes. The lamp burned brighter now, warmer, heavier. The genie watched him, silent, waiting, and for the third time since entering the forest, Elric stood at the edge of a decision that would change everything. But this time, there was no safe answer. The chamber did not rush him. That was the worst part. No urgency, no threat, no rising storm force a decision. Only stillness, waiting, watching, as if it already knew that whatever Elric chose would echo long after this moment ended. The lamp pulsed in his hands, slow, heavy, alive, not just an object anymore. Not just something he held, but something that had begun to hold him back. I do not believe this is the only choice, Elric said quietly. His voice sounded smaller here, swallowed by the stone and silence. There has to be another way. The genie watched him. I have seen many bears, it said, and all of them said the same. Elric's jaw tightened, and the genie's eyes dimmed slightly, and all of them chose. Elric exhaled slowly. That is not an answer. It is the only one that remains, the genie replied. The cold glow above the pedestal pulsed again, less intrusive now, but no less present. Delay does not remove the weight. I know that, Elric snapped, more sharply than he intended. The words echoed faintly through the chamber, then faded, leaving only his breathing behind. He looked down at the lamp. The golden light had spread further now. Faint lines of warmth traced along his fingers, across his palm, up his wrist. Not burning, not painful, but present, permanent. If I accept, he said slowly, I stay here, do not I? The genie did not answer immediately. You remain bound to the vessel, it said at last. That is not what I asked. The genie held his gaze. No, it said, it is not. Elric swallowed. I will not be able to leave, will I? The silence that followed answered before the words did. Then, no, something inside him sank, quietly. He had known, but hearing it made it real. And if I refuse, he continued, voiced better now, everything that is bound comes free. Yes. How many? The genie's form shifted slightly. Enough. Elric let out a breath that felt too heavy for his chest. That is not fair. No, the genie said. It is not. He laughed again. Softer this time, more tired. Funny, he said. I spent my whole life wishing things would change. He looked down at the lamp. Turns out, I should have been more specific. The genie did not respond. But something in its gaze softened. The chamber seemed to lean in again, not physically, but in presence, as if it too was waiting. Elric turned slowly, looking at the broken pillars, the faded carvings, the place where others had once stood, where others had made the same choice. They chose to stay, he said. Yes. Why? The genie's voice was quiet. Because they understood what leaving would cost. Elric's chest tightened. My village, he whispered. He saw it clearly now. The small house, the quiet nights, his mother's tired smile. All of it so simple, so fragile. If he refused, that creature from the forest, it would not be alone. His grip on the lamp tightened. I could make a wish, he said suddenly. The genie's eyes flickered. You could wish for a way out of this? You could. Hope stirred again. small, sharp. Then why have not I? The genie's voice lowered. 'Cause you already know what it would cost. Elric stilled. Anything that changes the binding, it said, must take its place. The meaning hit slowly, then all at once. If I wish to be free, Elric said, voice barely above a whisper, then something else takes the burden. Yes, Elric's stomach dropped. Someone else. Yes, he shook his head immediately. No, the word came fast, firm, unthinking. The genie did not argue. Elric paced a step, and another. The stone beneath his feet felt colder now, harder, real. I am not putting this on someone else, he said. I am not passing it forward like that. No, the genie said. You are not. The chamber seemed to settle again. As if that answer mattered, Elric stopped, looked back at the center, at the cold glow, at the place where everything had begun. What happens if I try to destroy the lamp? He asked. The genie's eyes dimmed further. You cannot. Why not? Because, the genie said, it is no longer only the lamp that exists. Elric looked down at his hand, at the faint golden lines along his skin. Understanding came quietly, reluctantly. It is me too now, he said. The genie did not deny it. A long silence followed. Longest yet. Elric's thoughts allowed, not racing anymore, not panicking, just settling, like water after a storm. I did not ask for this, he said. No, the genie replied. You did not. I do not want this. No. But if I refuse, he continued, people get hurt. Yes. And if I accept, the words caught. He forced them out. I lose everything. The genie said nothing, because there was nothing to soften. Elric nodded slowly, as if confirming something to himself. Something already decided. Funny thing is, he said quietly, I thought the hardest part would be making the wish. He looked down at the lamp one last time. Turns out, it was not. He lifted his head, looked at the cold glow, at the center, at the place that waited for his answer. I am not going to break it, he said. The words were steady now. Clear. The chamber responded, not loudly, not suddenly, but unmistakably. The symbols beneath his feet brightened. The glow at the center steadied. The genie watched him, silent. Elric took a step forward, toward the pedestal. I do not know what happens next, he said. The genie's voice came softly. You do not need to. Elric nodded once. I just know. He stepped into the center, the light surrounding him rising slightly, the air growing heavier. I'm not letting it out. The chamber fell completely still. The choice had been made, and now something deeper than the forest, something older than the lamp, was about to answer. The moment Elric stepped fully into the center, the chamber answered, not with sound, not with movement, but with something deeper, recognition. The carved symbols beneath his feet flared softly, their cold light rising into the air like faint threads of mist, weaving slowly around him, not binding, no, not yet, but acknowledging the choice had been made, and now the world adjusted to it. The lamp in his hands grew warm, warmer than it had ever been, not burning, not painful, but final. Elric exhaled slowly, his breath steady now, his thoughts no longer racing. The fear that had filled him moments before had not disappeared, but it had settled, like a storm that had chosen its direction. What happens now? He asked quietly. The genie stood beside him, its form dimmer than ever before, as if this place was beginning to reclaim something it had once held. You become what holds the binding in place, it said. Elric nodded. I figured. The cold glow at the center lowered slightly, aligning with the lamp's golden light, For a brief moment, the two lights touched, and where they met, something changed. The warmth in Elric's hands spread, not outward, not explosively, but inward, along his fingers, through his palms, up his arms, into his chest. He gasped softly, not in pain, but in surprise. It felt like remembering something he had never known. The lamp flickered once, then again, and then, slowly, the golden light began to fade from its surface, not vanishing, but moving. "Elric," the genie said, its voice quieter now than ever before. He looked up. "You are becoming the vessel." The words settled gently, not as a warning, not as a fear, but as truth. The lamp dimmed further, the glow now strongest, not in the metal, but in Elric himself. A faint, warm light beneath his skin, barely visible, like a reflection of something deeper. He looked down at his hands, at the light tracing along his fingers. "So it is not the lamp anymore," he said. The genie shook its head slightly. "No," the chamber responded. The carved symbols brightened fully now, forming a complete circle of pale light around him. The pedestal at the center cracked softly, just a hairline fracture, but enough to show that something had shifted. The cold glow above, dim in form, not lost, but quieter, contained. Elric felt it, the weight, not crushing, not unbearable, but present, constant, like holding a door closed against something on the other side. He inhaled slowly, exhaled. "I can feel it," he said. The genie nodded. "Yes, everything that is inside." A pause. "It is still there." "Yes." Elric swallowed. "But it is not trying to get out." The genie's eyes dimmed further. "Not while you remain." The meaning was clear, and yet, for the first time, it did not terrify him. Elric looked around the chamber, the broken pillars, the faded carvings, the place that had once held this burden before him. "It will not need this place any more," he said. The genie followed his gaze. No, the faint hum beneath the stone had softened. The air, though still heavy, no longer pressed as tightly. Something had eased. Elric turned back to the genie. "What about you?" he asked. For the first time, the genie hesitated. "I remain bound," it said, "but not as before." Elric frowned slightly. "What does that mean?" The genie's form flickered, softer, less defined. "It means," it said, "I am no longer held by the lamp." Elric's eyes widened slightly. "Then what are you bound to now?" The genie looked at him, not past him, not through him, but at him. "You." The word was gentle, but it carried weight. Elric exhaled slowly. "That figures." A faint, almost invisible shift passed through the chamber. The symbols dimmed. The glow settled. The space itself seemed to relax, as if its purpose had been fulfilled. "Can I leave?" Elric asked. The genie considered him. Then, "Yes." The answer came simply. Without hesitation, Elric blinked. "Just like that? You are no longer bound to this place," the genie said. "You are the one who carries the binding now." Elric looked down at his hands again, at the faint, warm light beneath his skin, still there, still steady. "So I can go home," he said. The genie did not correct him. "Yes," it said. The word felt strange, unexpected. After everything, after the forest, the creature, the choice, home. Elric turned slowly toward the entrance of the ruins. The darkness there no longer felt as heavy, still deep, still unknown, but no longer watching. He took a step. A light beneath his skin flickered softly. Another step. The chamber did not resist. And then he crossed the threshold. The forest greeted him again, but not as before. The air felt clearer, the silence lighter, even the trees seemed less tense. The mist had gone. The path, though faint, was there. Elric looked up at the sky. The stars were still there, quiet, unchanged. For a moment, he just stood there, breathing, feeling, understanding. "You will always be there," he said quietly. The genie's voice came from beside him, soft. "Close, yes." Elric nodded. "And the things inside, they remain," the genie said. A pause. "But they are quiet," Elric exhaled. "That is enough." He turned toward the path home, toward the life that still waited, different now, changed, but still his. And as he walked, the faint golden light beneath his skin pulsed once, not as a warning, not as a threat, but as a quiet reminder. Some stories do not end. They simply become part of the one who carries them. And far behind him, the ruins stood still, empty once more. Their purpose fulfilled, their silence earned. But the forest remembered. It always would. Because somewhere beneath the quiet stars, a boy had made a choice. And in doing so, had become the keeper of something that must never be set free.